In the peaceful village of Aiyetoro, formal education was not valued because the people believed that farming was more important than schooling. Generation after generation, families lived without learning to read or write, considering education unnecessary for survival. Baba Adekunle, a hard-working farmer, and his wife, Mama Shade, had 5 children. Their first 4 children followed the family tradition of working on the farm, but their youngest son, Tunde, was different. He possessed a strong desire to learn and dreamed of going to school. One day, Tunde found an old newspaper and became fascinated by the mysterious symbols on its pages. When his mother explained that only educated people could understand them, his curiosity grew stronger. He began to question why he could not attend school like other children. Later, while going to the farm with his father, Tunde saw the village primary school and boldly expressed his wish to receive an education. However, Baba Adekunle rejected the idea, insisting that books could not feed a family and that farming was the proper path for their household. The villagers and even Tunde's brothers mocked his dream, believing that education would make him abandon his roots. Despite their criticism, Tunde refused to give up. His grandmother, Iyetoro, encouraged him with wise proverbs, reminding him that great achievements often require taking uncommon paths. Inspired by her words, Tunde made a silent promise to endure any hardship necessary to pursue formal education and become the first person in his family to break the cycle of ignorance. After making a silent promise to pursue education, Tunde woke up with a determination that burned brighter than ever before. Although life in Aiyetoro continued as usual, something within him had changed. His dream of going to school had taken root in his heart like a young Iroko tree that refused to be uprooted by the storms of doubt and opposition. Tunde could no longer see the world as other children did. The dusty road leading out of the village seems to him like a path towards a better future. He imagined a life where he could read books, understand the world, and help his family escape the cycles of ignorance that had bound them for generations. However, his father, Baba Adekunle, remained strongly opposed to the idea. When Tunde again expressed his desire to attend school, his father reminded him that their ancestors had survived through farming and hard work, not through formal education. He believed that books could not feed an empty stomach and feared that education would make his son forget his roots and abandon family traditions. Despite his father's objections, Tunde respectfully explained that he did not want to leave his family behind. Instead, he hoped that education would provide him with the knowledge needed to improve their lives. His courage and persistence surprised many people because no one in their family had ever shown such interest in schooling before. Soon, Tunde's ambition became the main topic of discussion throughout Aiyetoro. Some villagers laughed at him and considered him foolish, while others believed that he was dreaming beyond his social status. Yet a few elders quietly admired his determination, recognizing that great changes often begin with a single brave individual who dares to walk a different path. A turning point came when Tunde met Mr. Illuminate, a traveling teacher from a nearby town. The teacher explained that education was not merely about reading and writing, but about understanding the world and serving one's community more effectively. He encouraged Tunde to remain strong, reminding him that people often mock those who dream differently from the crowd. His words gave Tunde's renewed confidence and strengthened his desire to continue pursuing his goals. Meanwhile, the farming season demanded more labor from every member of the family. Baba Adekunle insisted that all his children focus entirely on farm work, leaving no room for what he called foolish dreams. Tunde found himself torn between family expectations and his personal aspirations. His heart became a battlefield between tradition and the promise of a brighter future. In his moment of confusion, Tunde sought comfort from his grandmother, Iyetoro, the wise old woman, encouraged him with proverbs and words of wisdom. She reminded him that every worthwhile achievement requires sacrifice, and that those who desire success must be willing to endure hardship. Her encouragement convinced Tunde that the path to education would not be easy, but it will be worth every struggle. Hope arrived when the village school announced an opportunity for a few poor children to attend classes if their families could provide uniforms and basic learning materials. Filled with excitement, Tunde once again pleaded with his father for permission to go to school. He promised to continue helping on the farm before and after classes so that he would not neglect his responsibility. However, Baba Adekunle explained that their poverty remained the greatest obstacle. The family struggled daily to provide food, making school expenses seem impossible to avoid. For the first time, Tunde fully understood that his true enemy was not only tradition but also the heavy burden of poverty that had limited his family's opportunities for generations. Nevertheless, his determination remained unshaken. He resolved that if suffering was the price of education, he would willingly endure it. He believed that one educated person could become a source of light for an entire family, and that his sacrifices would one day bring hope and transformation to those who came after him. Thus, Tunde prepared himself for the difficult journey ahead, determined to fight against ignorance, poverty, and every obstacle standing between him and his dream of formal education. As the rainy season approached, dark clouds gathered above Aiyetoro, and farmers prepared their lands for planting, while other children looked forward to another season of working with families. Tunde carried a different burden in his heart. His desire for education continued to grow stronger, but so did the obstacles standing in his path. Tunde knew that if he truly wanted to attend school, he would have to make sacrifices that no one in his family had ever made before. He understood that education was not a fruit that fell freely from the tree. It had to be earned through sweat, patience, and perseverance. The elders often said, the person who seeks honey must first endure the sting of bees. And Tunde was beginning to experience the truth behind those words. Determined to prove his seriousness, Tunde decided to work harder than ever on his father's farm. He woke up before the first cock crow, fetched water from the stream, gathered firewood, and helped with every household chores. He hoped that his dedication would convince Baba Adekunle to support his dream of going to school. Although his father noticed the boy's hard work, his heart remained troubled. He loved his son, but poverty sat heavily upon the family like a mountain that refused to move. He feared that sending Tunde to school would place an even greater burden upon their already difficult lives. To him, survival came before ambition. One evening, while the family gathered around their evening meal, Tunde gathered the courage to speak once again. "Father," he said respectfully, Allow me to work for my school materials. I will labor during market days and continue helping on the farm. I only ask for your blessing." The compound fell silent. Even the evening breeze seems to pause and listening. Baba Adekunle stared at his son with surprise. Never before had a child in his family offered to suffer willingly for the sake of education. The boy's determination was as firm as an ancient rock that remained unmoved by flowing rivers. Yet, the father remained uncertain. The following week, Tunde began helping traders in the local market. He carried baskets, swept stores, and performed small tasks in exchange for a few coins. Under the burning sun, his young body grew tired, but his spirit remained strong. Each coin he earned represented another step towards his dream. Some villagers laughed at him and questioned why a young boy would choose such hardship when he could simply accept the life prepared for him by tradition. Tunde, they mocked, "Why suffer for something that may never feed you? The farm already provides everything your family needs." But the boy answered with humility, "A person walks only in the footsteps of others may never discover a better road." His word reflected a wisdom far beyond his years. Meanwhile, his grandmother Iyalaro continued to encourage him. She reminded him that every great achievement carries a price and that those who endure suffering with patience often reap the sweetest rewards. She compared education to a lamp whose light could guide not only one person but an entire generation. As weeks passed, Tunde slowly saved enough money to buy a simple exercise book and a pencil. Though they seemed like ordinary objects, to him they were treasures more valuable than gold. Holding them in his hand, he felt as though he had touched the future itself. The sight moved his mother, Mama Shade, to tears. She realized that her son was willing to carry burdens that many adults could not bear. Quietly, she began supporting his dream, even though she feared the challenges that lay ahead. Eventually, Baba Adekunle witnessed his son's unwavering commitment and began to reconsider his position. He understood that this was not a childish desire that would disappear with time. Tunde's determination burned like a sacred flame that refused to be extinguished by hardship or ridicule. Although he had not yet granted permission for formal schooling, the old farmer's heart began to soften. For the first time, he saw that education might not be an enemy of tradition, but a bridge towards a better future. By the end of the season, Tunde had learned an important lesson. Every worthwhile dream demands sacrifice. He discovered that the road to knowledge is often paved with suffering, but those who endure its challenges may eventually transform not only their own lives but also the destiny of their families. As the elders wisely said, the palm tree that stands tallest in the forest first fought many storms while it was still young. Thus, Tunde prepared himself for even greater trials ahead, unaware that his greatest test was still waiting beyond the horizon. After many months of hard work, sacrifice, and persistence, Tunde's unwavering determination finally softened his father's heart. Though Baba Adekunle still feared the burden that education might place upon the family, he could no longer ignore the fire burning within his son like a river that refused to turn back despite the rock in its path. Tunde had proven that his dream was stronger than hardship. At last, Baba Adekunle gave his reluctant permission for Tunde to attend the village primary school. The entire household was reacted with mixed emotions, while his mother and grandmother rejoiced quietly. His older brothers laughed and predicted that the boy would soon abandon his foolish ambition when reality revealed its harsh face. Yet, for Tunde, that day was as glorious as the first rainfall after a long season of drought. He held his simple exercise book and pencil as though they were precious treasures handed down by kings. His heart danced with joy, for he knew that he was taking the first step on a path that no member of his family had ever walked before. However, the beginning of his education also marked the beginning of his suffering. Every morning, before the sun stretched its golden fingers across the sky, Tunde rose from his sleeping mat. He completed household chores, fetched water from the stream, fed the animals, and helped on the farm before making the long journey to school. By the time he reached the classroom, exhaustion already rested upon his shoulders like a heavy load. Unlike many other pupils, Tunde often attended school without breakfast. Hunger followed him like a stubborn shadow that refused to disappear. During break period, while other children brought snacks from local vendors, he sat quietly beneath a tree, drinking water to calm the cries of his empty stomach. Yet he never complained. He believed that knowledge was a seed that required patience and sacrifice before it could bear fruit. The elders often said, "The child who wishes to wear the crown of success must first endure the weight of struggle." Tunde carried this wisdom in his heart every day. Meanwhile, some classmates mocked his poor appearance. His uniform was old and patched in several places, and his sandals had become worn from countless journeys between home and school. They laughed at him and called him the farmer's son who dreamed beyond his station in life. Their words hurt him deeply, but he remained silent. He understood that mockery was merely the noise made by people who could not see the vision planted within his soul. Like the moon that continues to shine despite the barking of dogs, Tunde refused to allow criticism to dim his light. At home, his responsibilities did not lessen. After school, he returned to the farm to assist his father. Until darkness covered the land, when night finally arrived, he studied by the faint light of the kerosene lamp. The small flame flickered like a fragile hope against the vast ocean of darkness, yet it was enough to guide him forward. His grandmother Yalaro remained his greatest source of encouragement. She often reminded him that every generation requires one person brave enough to break the chains that have bound their ancestors. She believed that Tunde had been chosen to carry such a burden. One evening, after seeing her grandson studying despite his exhaustion, she said, "My son, the road to greatness is never smooth. The tallest tree in the forest once survived countless storms while it was still a tender plant." Her words strengthened Tunde's resolve. As the weeks passed, his teachers began to notice his intelligence and determination. Despite his difficult circumstances, he performed exceptionally well in class. His hunger did not weaken his mind, and his poverty did not steal his desire to learn. Instead, every challenge seemed to sharpen his focus and deepen his appreciation for education. Slowly, even Baba Adekunle began to observe the positive change in his son. Though he still worried about their financial struggles, he could not deny that education was transforming Tunde into a disciplined, thoughtful, and hardworking young boy. By the end of the term, Tunde had learned one of life's greatest lessons. True determination is not the absence of suffering, but the courage to continue despite it. He discovered that tears, hunger, and hardship were not barriers to success, but stepping stones along the journey towards a brighter future. As our ancestors wisely declared, the river that endures the heat of the sun eventually reaches the cool embrace of the ocean. And so Tunde continued his journey, carry both his books and his burden with unwavering faith that one day his sacrifices will bring light to his entire family.